Let's do some quick reads on the best fits between a team and a player. J-Mac, you're up first.
I'm going with the New England Patriots. I'm going with Travion Henderson and Kyle Williams. This is speed on speed on speed interjected in this offense. Since 2023, the Patriots at the very bottom in explosive plays, 12-yard runs or 16-yard passes. They needed this badly. Williams, a guy who is dangerous with the ball in his hands, and Henderson will match up perfect with Ramondre Stevenson of being that change of pace back and a guy that can take it the distance whenever he touches the rock.
I'm going to go with a third-round pick, Darian Porter, the Iowa State cornerback to the Raiders. So Porter reminds me a little bit of Tariq Woolen, incredibly tall, long arms, great recovery speed. I think he ran like a 4.3 40, good zone eyes and ball skills. Now he goes to the coach, Pete Carroll, who coached Tariq Woolen, one of the best defensive back coaches in the history of the sport. And it's a position that the Raiders needed. Cornerback, couldn't love this fit more for both the team and the player.
I'm going to go to Buffalo with the 30th overall pick and use it on Max Hairston, who a couple of seasons ago led the SEC in interceptions. This past year, while being limited due to a shoulder injury, had a pair of interceptions, returned one for a score. But on top of that, he was a zone specialist during his time at Kentucky. Just over 82% of his coverage snaps in his college career were played in zone. As everybody knows, most likely watching the show, the Bills rely about as heavily on zone coverage principles as any team in the entire NFL. Sean McDermott, like Pete Carroll, one of the great DB tutors. Great fit there at number 30 overall.
Also, Field, as you know, throughout the first round, anybody that got drafted, Max Hairston was the first person to him, tapping him up.
The ultimate hype man.
It was so cool. It was so fun to watch. All right, but how about this? Bills GM Brandon Beane was on Buffalo radio today, addressed the criticism for not taking a wide receiver. Listen to this.
I was just listening to the last few minutes of your show before I came on, waiting on here.
All right.
Sounds like 2018 all over with you guys.
Well, how so?
Well, you guys were in 2018 about Josh Allen. You guys wanted Josh Rosen, and now you guys are that we don't have a receiver. I don't get it. Like, we just hold on, let me talk. We just scored 30 points in a row for 8 straight games. A year ago, I get you guys asking why we didn't have receivers, but I don't understand it now. You just saw us lead the league in points. You just saw us do it without Stephon Diggs, same group. How is this group not better than last year's group? Like, where do we need to get better? Defense. We did that. So I get it. You got to have a show, and you got to have something to out. But about wide receiver is one of the dumbest arguments I've heard.
Tell them how you really feel, Brandon Beane. All right, Mina, was it a mistake for the Bills to not take a receiver?
Is Brandon Beane watching NFL Live? Because I have to be careful now. Look, no, in some ways. I like the players that they drafted a lot, and he is correct in saying they had to add to the defense. They just paid a couple of players there, Greg Rousseau, Christian Benford. So you're going to have to find value at high-value, expensive positions. Defensive line corner, I love them adding the players that they did there. I also like this receiving group, but I do kind of wish they added speed, and that's not just about the draft, frankly, that's about free agency as well. I think they've got size, they've got guys who are fantastic working out of the slot, and they added Palmer, who's a great possession receiver. I just would have loved a deep threat for Josh Allen personally, but I don't think it's a must because he is correct in saying that the offense was extremely efficient with the build that they already have.
Yeah, I would agree with Mina on the speed standpoint on the offensive side of the ball. But to Brandon Beane's defense, the proof is in the pudding. He talked about 8 straight games with 30 points. They had 12 30-point games last season. And you look at them defensively going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. They have just gotten slaughtered, giving up over 35 points and over 400 yards a game. That was going into the AFC Championship game. And in that game, they followed suit. They gave up 32 points and almost 370 yards. So to me, defense is the focus for them. A guy like Max Hairston, who played a ton of zone, has the speed to play man. Later on in that season, they weren't able to cover anybody when they were in situations where it required them to play man-to-man, which usually happens in the fourth quarter in 2-minute situations when you have to get stops. If they bolster their defense, Josh Allen continues to be an eraser on offense, an eraser of the issues that they have, then they give themselves a better chance to get over the hump and make it to a Super Bowl.
I'm not a believer that you should build your roster based off of the roster of another team in your division, your conference, or just in the NFL in general. But given how much the Chiefs and the Bills have faced off in the postseason, I do think it's kind of important to have some of those recent matchups in mind. And I always felt like when it came down to it, it was the gotta-have-it plays that separated the Chiefs and the Bills. And this past year, not to make it about just a couple of plays, but of course we all know famously Josh Allen can't successfully convert, or maybe he did successfully convert that Buffalo tush-push, but it was ruled short of the line to gain. The Chiefs, conversely, on some of those key moments, they convert on 3rd or 4th and 1. And the Bills beefed up that defensive front on top of the Max Hairston pick in the first round. They take T.J. Sanders in round 2. And, listen, this is the reality of Buffalo. They're willing to give a little bit on the size of their defensive tackles to gain a little bit on some of their upfield penetration. So I actually thought the Bills' first 5 picks, all being on defense, was a reasonable, logical meat and potatoes approach for a team that, I don't know, maybe I'm putting too much trust in the NFL as MVP that he can figure it out, right, Mina? Like, he can, or maybe not, Mina, sorry, I'm putting you in a bad spot here, but I'm trusting enough in Josh that regardless of whether the weapons are perfect or not around him, this can be a Super Bowl winning offense.
Yeah, no, I think we all agree, which is why Brandon Beane should watch our show, because while maybe we had like some slightly different requests, we were pretty much in line with what he did. So there you go.